will you join me in welcoming the next Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, my friend, my former student, the Honorable Dr. Godwin Friday.
Former Ambassador Denny Wilson introducing Dr. Godwin Friday to a rousing round of applause here at the Friends of Crown Heights at 671 Prospect Place. It's the NDP's town hall meeting, and the people have come out, the people came out, the people are still coming out.
Good evening. As Billy Crystal used to say, remember on Saturday Night Live? You look marvelous. I am so proud to be here to see this wonderful reception that you have given us here in New York, in Brooklyn. This town hall meeting could never fit in a basement. Can't fit in 2 basements or 3 basements. No, we're coming out. We're doing this for the people. But I must tell you, I sat here listening to my colleagues. And you know, it must be like how some parents feel when the children do well. Because my nose was swelling when I listened to Israel and to Kay and to Sinclair talk with such authority, with such knowledge about what's happening in our country, with such passion as to what they're going to do about it. And that gives me, it fortifies me in my commitment, in my confidence in the team that we have, in my commitment to go forward in the struggle to bring St. Vincent and the Grenadines back from where it is. And to give me the confidence in you, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in the diaspora and back home, that we can do it for ourselves. And that is what we have to do. We can't rely on anybody else to do it for us. I am honored, really, to be a political leader, to be a leader of opposition. When I started out, I had the ambition of being the representative for the Northern Grenadines. I came home because Sir James was leaving. Friends of mine encouraged me to come and serve. I was comfortable in Canada, and I said, boy, it's a big move. But I knew that I couldn't, that the more comfortable I got there, the more anxiety I would feel about not being in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Because I do feel that I have a duty to give back to my country. And to carry on what the man age said, that we have a country to build. And if we don't do it, who will? Age, you're an inspiration to me. Now, there was a time when I would stand here at the podium, and I would read my text, and I didn't need her glasses. What are you? No. All right, I get it. But here's the thing. All right. I am so happy to see such a large crowd here tonight. What a blessed Sunday evening this has been so far. I know that in being here, we are joining hands together for our country in common cause against crime, against poverty, against economic hardship, against political division and social strife in our homeland SVG. Most of you, I believe, are my supporters. Are supporters of the New Democratic Party. Thanks again for being here. But I hope as well that we have been able to attract some who may not yet be supporters, but who love their country and have come out here to listen and to share. And to have genuine discussion, to learn from one another, so that we can work more effectively together to build St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I know that we share a common vision of one people, one Vinci. We can only succeed as a people by believing together. And even when we have differences, by genuinely working together. For too long, Vincentians at home and abroad have been pulled apart by the politics of pull down and hate. The divide and conquer politics practiced by those now in power in St. Vincent and the Grenadines can only lead to chaos and hardship.
You're listening to Nice Radio, 96.7, 101.3 and 90.3 FM.
We must look out for one another. Even when we have political differences, perhaps specifically or especially when we have differences. A friend recounted to me recently her recollection of how politics used to be in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this would have been in the 1980s and 1990s. Of neighbors supporting different political parties during elections. But when the vote was counted, when the winner was declared, and NDP was the winner in those days, they returned to their normal lives of sharing breadfruit and other produce with one another, of being good neighbors to one another, and looking out for one another. In other words, they understood that what bound us together as people, as Vincentians, was far more important than what separated them. They did not just believe it or profess it, they practiced it. And so should we. It makes good sense to do so. It makes sense not only because it is in keeping with our Christian values that we all cherish and hold so dear. It makes sense also because in practice it helps our country to work better. I believe this fundamentally. It informs the way I practice politics in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It guides me in how I do my job as a representative for Northern Grenadines, as leader of the opposition of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and as president of your great New Democratic Party. My colleagues in Parliament and our other candidates in various constituencies all work very hard to represent the people of our country in this way. It is a commitment that we've given to you. When our people, when you, here and in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, change the government, that is how we intend to govern. When I was in Montreal, well, Ralph has an open invitation, he doesn't accept it. When I was in, just to remember something, I hear they were making fun of the fact that Israel and think they didn't get a visa to go to Montreal. I mean, these people have no shame. It was under Ralph's government that we lost visa-free right to come to Canada. It is because of his administration that you have to apply for a visa. If I were them, I would keep quiet and say, boy, you know, that's my fault. Well, at least they made the application. Anyway, as we go forward, and St. Clair's was approved, it was a little late. There are some things that I wish to outline, because I think it's very important that you, in the diaspora, you understand what is happening at home. My colleagues did an excellent job of telling you various aspects of it. I want to go through some basic things that a lot of people don't seem to quite understand. First of all, we are in deep economic crisis in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The International Monetary Fund said in its report last year that the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines between 2009 and 2016 grew by 0.2%. That is less than 0.5%. In an economy as small as ours, you should be having 8, 9, 10% growth for there to be actual progress. Think about that. 0.2% between 2009 and 2016. And the future doesn't look much brighter. You hear the present administration, they talk about all their accomplishments. Yet, the unemployment rate in St. Vincent today, according to the IMF again, is higher than it was in 2001. In 2016, the IMF said that that rate was 25%. We believe it's higher, but that is the official figure, so let's use that. In 2001, the same institution, the International Monetary Fund, said that the unemployment rate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines was 20.9%. So this year, last year, is 25%. And now, back in 2001, when this government came to power, it was 20.9%. So we are actually going backwards in terms of the creation of jobs. The national debt has gotten much worse than in 2001. The debt service ratio was below that for the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, the average in 2001. Today, it is higher than the average. In fact, it is the highest in the Windward Islands. And our public debt continues to grow. When this government came into office, it was less than $600 million. Now it's $1.6 billion. And we don't know where the money has been spent productively, because you see, it still has not generated the kind of economic growth to create employment for our people. And we do have a tough job. Not only that, we have the highest taxes and the lowest wages in the OECS. Check it out from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank figures. So all this talk about the wonderful things that have been going on in St. Vincent, that is just propaganda. It's good public relations. They could sell snow in Alaska because they're very good at telling people what they want them to believe, not what is real. What I said at the outset about the genuine commitment that we have to the people of this country tells you that a new Democratic Party government will never function in that way. We will never use the office of government, the gift of gab that St. Clair talks about, to seek to mislead, to seek to bamboozle our own people. What is the point of political office if you're not looking out for the people whom you govern? What is the point? You know, someone was telling me the truth in politics seems to have gone out the window. All that matters is to win. But if truth doesn't matter, when you win, what do you win? Where do you go? I don't intend to take the rest of my life to waste it in trying to take advantage of other people. So when I tell you I am committed to this, that I do this for the love of my country, because I believe we can do better in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Today in St. Vincent, you heard one of my colleagues say, we do not even export, I think they said a box of banana. Well, we don't export a hand of banana. We export no bananas to the UK. Our neighbor, St. Lucia, I think they export about 20,000 tons per annum. This year we're supposed to go up to 30. And you know why we don't? It's not just because we can't grow it. You tell the farmers in Bruce constituency or in Maracaibo Valley to grow a banana that's 6 inches and they'll grow it for 6 inches. You tell them do it for 8 inches, they'll grow it at 8 inches. They're doing it better now than they ever have done. But they got no support whatsoever from the government. When Black Sigatoka hit, they said because there was a requisition for spraying in some bureaucrat's drawer somewhere in the Ministry of Agriculture, no spraying was done. What happened? Nobody looked up and see the plane didn't go by? And the farmers suffered. After Hurricane Thomas, there was no assistance given to the farmers. Money was handed out to people on the basis of political connection, not by how much land that they had and how productive they were as farmers. I met a gentleman one time, I was involved in cricket, in organizing cricket in Beckway. And I went, we were looking for soil to make the pitch. And I remember this because it's so symptomatic of what's happening in the country. And he said, well, Friday, I have this soil, you could come. And I went out, and he said, yes, this would be suitable. This is what he used to farm bananas on. But after Thomas, he had no money, he couldn't replant. So he was literally selling the dirt that he used to grow bananas on. I told the story of the egg farmers when I was in Montreal. I won't go through the entire thing because I know some of you listen to it on the radio. But this is what is happening in agriculture. You have a hatchery at Dumbarton for chickens. You're supposed to supply the local egg farmers. For whatever reason, some say it's because they haven't paid the supply in Miami for the fertilized eggs. So there's a shortage of chicks. They have not produced a chick to give the farmers. Individual farmers must order them in Miami and ship them in Amerijet so that they could then have eggs to supply, or at least to make a living. A farmer told me he used to have 10,000 birds. Now he has 1,500. And this is a local market that we have captive. We can supply it. People can make money doing it. And the reason they're not doing it is because the offices, the institutions of government that have a role to play has failed them. Something as simple as that. So the supermarkets now, they have to order eggs even now so. They used to do it around Christmas. They order eggs from Miami because they can't get the local supply. This farmer told me that he had ordered 3,000 chicks from a supplier in Miami. They tell him, well, listen, you're a small farmer. We supply the guys who order 50 and 60,000 first. And what we could do, we promise you 1,500, which you will get sometime next year, in January or February. And this is an industry that has a captive local market. And it has been left in that way. I said this story because I say it's symptomatic of what's happening in our economy. If the people who have the responsibility to do something are not personally affected, they don't give a damn what happens. The farmers can suffer. Now I talk about the economy. The same thing is happening in the tourism sector. Between, this one I need my glasses for. There are two categories of tourism. Tourism is an important part of our economy. Let's face it. Agriculture and tourism. Tourism is important because it's a direct way of getting foreign exchange. Somebody comes from America to bring US dollars. My ambition, my target is always to make sure they leave all the money they come with before they go back. So you get them to spend as much as possible. Use their credit card if necessary. That's what good tourism is. That's why I love you so much. So, this is what is happening. And this is again, Eastern Caribbean Central Bank figures. This is not Friday figures. I didn't make these up. It says in 2006, stay-over visitors. These are the people who go into hotels and guest houses. 2006, there were 97,432 came to St. Vincent. That's 2006, 12 years ago. In 2017, that figure was 75,972. So we had lost over 22,000. We've gone down. And just to tell you, it's not like 2017 was some sort of anomaly. I'll give you 2011. 2011, for example, there were 73,000 visitors. So we have never gotten back up to the numbers we got in 2006. So it means that stay-over tourism, the people who go to the hotels and guest houses, they're going down. The same thing has happened with yachting. Eastern Caribbean Central Bank says that the yachting sector is very important because there's a lot of spin-off. You actually earn more from each yachting visitor than you do for almost any other sector, any other aspect of tourism. But similarly, in 2006, there were 93,600 yacht visitors. By 2017, well, let's go to 2010. That went down to 42,000. By 2017, it bumped back a little bit to 51,000. So 93,000 in 2006, we're down to 51,000 last year. That's a huge drop. It's no wonder in my own community in Beck, we had all these little sail makers and chandlery shops supplying the yachts and laundry and so on. Many of them are gone out of business. There's some friends of mine here from Beckley. They know that I'm telling the truth. And some of them have shrunk because there is just not enough business to expand. This is what is happening in the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So when you lose jobs, when you lose tourists coming in, 22,000 over the course of that period, of course you have to close earlier. You have to lay off people because you just don't have the business. Those are the nuts and bolts of economic planning and development that you need to take care of, one institution at a time, one business place at a time. Your job has to be there to facilitate, make them successful. When they're successful, they employ people, they pay taxes. You don't look at the party card, you don't say who that person supported, as was done in the case of Bigger Biggs, who in 2010 supported a candidate of the New Democratic Party. The candidate lost, yet Bigger Biggs lost his business, $8 million investment, because his license for mining was shut down. It may be good politics for them because he now is reduced in his effectiveness to assist any other candidates. But the point is, those 60 people who used to work for him, they're on the breadlines. That is not the kind of politics that we practice. That is not the kind of leader of your lovely, blessed country that I'm going to be. Everybody has a place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Everybody must have a place in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.